Hey Pokemon fans, I'm TheJWittz, and today's Pokemon fact of the day is going to be an answer to my newest, most requested topic, Bad Egg. Well, guess what, guys? I got 6 bad eggs for you right here. Okay, you can have a real video. One of the most compelling parts of the original Pokemon games for early hardcore fans was the glitches. There were a ton of crazy things you could do, most of which without even needing a cheating device. Missing no stands is one of the greatest gaming mysteries of all time, which is what made it one of the first in my new line of Pokemon Fact of the Day videos. So, what about future generations? Are there any glitches there? The answer is, sort of? People ask me all the time about Bad Egg, a mysterious entity that has existed since the 3rd generation. So I figured I'd tackle the full generation altogether. Let's take a look at the 5 glitch and hack Pokemon that make up Generation 3. Starting things off is the much requested Bad Egg itself. It's a pretty interesting mechanic, and it isn't even really a glitch. In fact, without an external cheating device or an emulator, you won't ever encounter it at all. Instead, Bad Egg is what seems to be an anti-cheating measure, only appearing when the game fails a checksum, almost always after some form of cheating. While the appearance of Bad Egg is a little random, some of its most popular occurrences come from using cheat codes to speed up leveling in the daycare, stealing your opponent's Pokemon, and creating Pokemon with illegal movesets. Bad Eggs don't always appear when you cheat, but stealing your opponent's Pokemon seemed to be the biggest red flag for me. Oh fun, mine's paralyzed. For the most part, Bad Eggs just cause trouble. Viewing their data can crash the game. Trying to force a cheat and hatch them can crash the game and occasionally delete your data. You can't release them, and they tend to end up taking up box space, even occasionally spreading across boxes when left unattended. Certain hacks can get a Bad Egg in a battle, either for or against you, but it can't attack, and as expected, it can often crash the game. The only interesting thing is that Bad Egg's appearance in your party is occasionally an alternate color palette of 0 for the Pokemon before it. Since Bad Egg seems to be the most stable in Fire Red and Leaf Green versions, some people mistakenly cite it as some form of Golden Bulbasaur, due to the sprite that it creates with a new palette. Even though Bad Egg isn't really a great mystery on its own, it's interesting to see Pokemon implement something like this. It was with the 3rd generation that the company began experimenting with competitive battling formats, and it seems Pokemon wanted to at least put something forth to deter cheaters from getting an unfair edge. Or, who knows, maybe they just wanted to counter-troll the trolls. So while we're on topic of the odd 3rd generation inclusions, let's look at a few more interesting creatures hidden within the game's data. Next up is 10 question marks, or as some people call them, Deca marks. You know, there really isn't a good name for this guy, especially since most emulators can't even display his name correctly, so I'm just gonna go ahead and call him Target for now. Target is another Pokemon that isn't a glitch necessarily, although it can mess with the game a bit through enough tampering. Much like the function of the Missing No originally, Target is meant to occupy unused hexadecimal slots. Generation 1 and 2 only use 256 slots of data, leaving just a small handful of Missing No-like Pokemon to occupy space. In the 3rd generation, however, these guys fill over 65,000 slots of data. Once again, you can't access any of that data without a cheating device. There are a handful of ways to find them, but the most common way I found is to use a walk through walls cheat to go into tall grass without a Pokemon. You'll throw your target out as your own Pokemon before whiting out immediately at the end of the first turn. It has no stats, and always ends your battles before you can really do anything, but in theory it holds the data of Bulbasaur's moves, while also having the ability to learn Ice Punch through Rare Candy and Move Tutor. One fun thing you can do with Target though, is take yourself over to a Pokemon Center after whiting out when using it. The game thinks that your 0 Pokemon is actually the game's entire 65,000 slots, leaving Nurse Joy to have a Pokeball party that just really needs to be seen to be believed. Oh god. I can't handle this! I can't handle this! Speaking of Pokemon with question marks, there's a second Pokemon out there that takes up unused filler data. More question marks. Actually, if we want to get technical here, it's actually 2 question marks. But its name is 1 question mark. Ugh. Let's just stick with question mark on this one before I lose my mind. This question mark seems to be the image that the beta version of Ruby and Sapphire used for unseen Pokemon in the Pokédex, before being replaced with the Target design. These guys take up 25 spaces between Celebi and Trico in the game data, and they have the cry of an unknown. But interestingly enough, this one is a fully functional Pokemon that can battle. Once again, you've got to input unused hexadecimals into the game with a cheating device to find it, but this time you'll find a Pokemon with actual stats. all 50s and 150s, and a functional attack. Tackle. Alright, so it isn't exactly a breakthrough here, but with an attack stat of 150, it is one of the best tackles you'll ever see. Just, not when it's level 1. Examining the data of question mark reveals no ability and a paw print with a question mark inside. It also often crashes the game when its information is viewed. But in battle, it strangely works. Next up is the only appearance of a Pokemon that can be found legitimately without the need for cheat codes, and that's because it stems from a major glitch in the 3rd generation, the Pomeg glitch. In Pokemon Emerald, the Pomeg Berry drops a Pokemon's HP EV stat. If you have a Pokemon with high HP EVs, but low actual HP, it's possible to use a Pomeg Berry to drop Pokemon to negative HP, represented by an extremely high count because it rolls over. If you can drop this HP to below 0, then use a potion to bring it back up to exactly 0, you can find a genuinely odd glitch Pokemon. Pomeg glitches could likely become their own video, but here's a fun trick in Emerald that'll set up our Pokemon. Make sure all of your other Pokemon are knocked out, and use the Pomeg glitch to give your active Pokemon 0 HP. They'll still enter battle because the game doesn't recognize them as knocked out. Then, in the first turn, revive one of your other Pokemon. The game will want to force you to make the switch, but if you accept, and then cancel after the next prompt, you can actually throw out multiple copies of your opponent's Pokemon before finally throwing out the real Pokemon once you try and attack. Check out this nasty orange Wurmple pile. Ew. Yep, please do knock it out. Thank you, I appreciate that. But this isn't even the glitch Pokemon that we're looking for. In order to do that, you have to trade a negative HP Pokemon to Fire Red or Leaf Green, and use Potion to bring that Pokemon to 0 HP. Instead of throwing out your opponent's Pokemon, you'll unleash the— Whoa! Good Arceus, what is going on? Alright, so for starters, this is what the Pokemon's actual name is. It's like an O-E, kind of like the little brackety thing, and the E-A-I. If you have a good way to pronounce that, be my guest. I typically just call it Bean, because those are the capital letters that most emulators spit out when trying to title this thing. It doesn't really do anything, it just goes on and on forever, like some kind of twisted Pokemon purgatory. I'd call it a freeze since you can't do anything, but the screen still moves, so I guess it's not frozen? I think? There's your glitch Pokemon, enjoy it. And last but not least is Dash, or hyphen? I don't know, it's just a tiny horizontal line. This glitch Pokemon is very similar to Bad Egg, except that it exists as its own specific data entry, the hexadecimal 019C. Let me tell you guys, I was convinced that this Pokemon did not exist. After spending 3 hours trying to input codes and alter data to get this thing to appear, I started going crazy. I tried calling out 019C, or number 412, the egg's calling number, through various forms of cheating. After hours of messing with Visual Boy Advance codes, Game Shark, and even Codebreaker codes, I just about broke down after creating this mistake. A level 2 Jirachi that looks like Regice. That proceeded to do just about what my brain did. Exploded. After picking up the pieces and trying again, I found that these glitch Pokemon seem more stable in the Red and Green remakes than Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and I finally got the thing to appear in battle. The real shame is, it's not very exciting. You always catch it at level 77, and despite being able to appear in battle, it can't perform any attacks. Reading the summary of Dash and Fire Red causes the screen to crash in Magenta though, so that was the end of my search. It's undeniable that the 3rd generation's glitch and exploitable Pokemon probably won't ever be as exciting as the awesome Missing No family, but because most of them require a cheating device, they're also much harder to hear about. Hopefully, watching this video gives you some insight on these oddities without you ever having to suffer creating a monstrosity like this for yourself. Thanks for watching today's video. If you want to learn when my newest videos are coming out, as soon as they do come out, click the big subscribe button below me. Or you can check out my other channels by clicking some of these annotations over to the left. Or you can watch me sit and make a very grumpy face for about, I don't know, 7 to 15 seconds.